C-Sharp squad with the marketing schemes, making brands pop like soda and dreams. With StoryBrand certified, the real hot shot. Now we step back, call the status forgot. We said bye to the badge, no guilt, no rage. Still cooking up fire, agency stage.
Hey, welcome to the Marketing Live Champ, episode 16, I believe.
Wow.
We are way into our double digits. This is exciting.
Well done. We've done 16 of these already. Wow.
Yeah.
Well, can't wait to get into 3 digits.
Yeah, well, we've got a bit to go, but we'll get there eventually.
Yeah. Very, very good.
Where are you now? It's a bit different than the usual background with the neon lights.
Yeah, I am in Brisbane at the moment, and you're going to spend the next couple of days in Brisbane. Interesting fact, I've hired an electric car this time around.
Oh, wow.
BYD. Yeah, and it's proven to be quite a good thing.
Yeah?
Yeah.
What does it feel strange when you start driving? I remember we had like a hybrid car in Europe, and we went back to the rental agency and said, hey, the car doesn't switch on. They're like, it is on. It's like, no, it's like it doesn't turn on. And they're like, just press the gas pedal and it just started moving.
Yeah, well, I was sort of expecting that. So I was expecting didn't have the engine noise and stuff like that. So, but I had to sort of like see if it was actually moving because it didn't have, Yeah, it's fun.
Hey, you know something that happened to me yesterday, and it has never happened in my life, and I hope nobody will ever find out from my family. But I was in the car. I went to a cafe to work for like 3 hours or so. I left my car, I think, like around lunchtime, and then I came back 3 hours later, and the car was still on with radio blasting inside. So I must have walked out of the car. I don't know if I locked it or something, but I was like, where's this noise coming from? And from the car there was like a huge like radio on full volume. I was like, surely this didn't happen for 3 hours.
Far out. Well, someone could have driven away, and well, it also says how loud you normally have your radio.
Now, usually I was listening to a sermon on my phone, and so I had to turn it up real loud because the microphone was far away from the preacher.
Oh, okay.
And then when the Bluetooth switches off, then the radio kicks in.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
Oh, man, you're lucky. You're lucky, man.
I know. I'm a blessed man.
Yeah, you can get away with that in busy Sydney.
It's a new car too.
Yeah.
But
oh well. Now your family's gonna find out because it's all public information now. It's on the internet.
Yeah, I still have the power to delete the live stream if I want to.
Or edit the recording.
True. No, all good. Yeah. Otherwise, anything new happening in the marketing space?
Been reading a book recommendation from you. Called Lean Marketing, and I was on the plane today, and I came across this quote which I thought was very interesting, and I posted on Insta.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna read it out now. It may be offensive, but look, who cares? It's identifying as a marketer feels like what I imagine is like admitting to being a sex worker. While virtually everyone wants what you do, they simultaneously look down on you and judge you for it. Really interesting.
Yeah.
Comparing our profession to sex. Well, I mean, nothing against sex workers, but people want to pay with you, but you're constantly being judged on, greedy and playing tricks in people's minds and so on and so forth.
Yeah, it's got a bit of a bad reputation.
Yeah.
But hey, at the end of the day, I remember at the StoryBrand conference, I said, do you have any ethical issues with marketing? They're like, well, you should start getting into sales. It's way worse. But the way I like to frame it is that if you believe in your product that it can help people's problems, you owe it to them to communicate it to them.
Absolutely.
And yeah, if you have a product that screws people over and exploits them, etc., then that is wrong. But it's
Absolutely.
not wrong to sell a product that is right. Like any type of message of hope is
Yep.
some form of product or service.
That's it. So the
So,
foundation of good marketing is still good old products, right? You've got to make sure you're first
yeah,
clear and
yeah,
good problem-solving products before you want to go to market and sing your own praises.
yeah, yeah, very true. So
Okay,
yeah,
what's together today?
well, we've got an interesting case. We had a somewhat form submission, a verbal form submission. My gym instructor
Hmm.
kind of, started in a random conversation. But she told me, "Hey, have you seen all these e-bikes out there?
Hmm.
All the young kids are jumping on e-bikes and creating, traffic havoc." And she said, "I just bought, we ordered 50 e-bikes from overseas, and they're arriving in
Wow.
July. But I have no idea what to do. Like, I want to sell them. We know it's, they're selling like hotcakes, or at least
Hang on.
they appear to be."
Red flag number one. You said they ordered 50 e-bikes from overseas, but have no idea how to sell them.
Well, this is where I think a lot of people fall into is they see something happening in the market, or they see a trend,
Hmm.
and then subconsciously or maybe even consciously they say, "I can do that. Surely that's not that hard to sell e-bikes because everyone wants them."
Wow.
And and that's often, especially with products, you find a manufacturer that creates that product, buy it in bulk, get a good price, and then think you can mark it up for 200%, and sell it like hotcakes and become a millionaire overnight. Which,
Right.
the question is, if so, how? And
So whoever is watching this, I'm sure some of us have disposable income lying around. You've got a spare 20, 30K ready to, do something. Um, but importing products and hoarding on stock without a plan or any thought process whatsoever in how to move the stock is probably the quickest way for you to drop that money in the ocean. I don't
yeah,
know. Yeah.
yeah. Maybe I'll score myself a good e-bike deal. Um, but we had a bit of a chat about, what's the cost of landed goods, and what you plan to sell them for, who's your competitor. And the obvious big competitor is Fatboy. At the
Mm,
moment, they're kind of the market leaders, and they introduced kind of the cool e-bikes in Australia.
mm.
Um, and apparently they come from the same factory. So
Yeah.
it's
Okay.
Fatboy quality.
Yeah.
They've got, two
Half the
versions.
price.
Yeah, or at least, more cost effective. And
Yeah.
that made me really think about, the big question for me is, how do you piggyback off somebody else's success?
Mm.
And or like, can you do that? Is it as easy as, hey, we've got the same product, for cheaper? Or what is, consumer psychology saying? And how do you market something that is trendy, but you don't have any, name or brand out there?
Okay. All right. So that's really interesting, right? I've got a couple of things in mind. If we're talking about thousands of e-bikes that you have imported, it's probably a different conversation. But if we're talking about dozens, which is 50, and you want to move them as quickly as possible, and you don't have too much of an emotional attachment to your business or your brand,
Mhm.
I would I would go if you're just out there trying to make a quick buck or test the market. I would basically be throwing either a landing page or even a physical flyer and do a letterbox drop that says get Fat Boy equivalent e-bike at half the cost.
Mhm.
Plain and simple, right? And from a digital, it actually makes me think about the Harley Davidson campaigns that we've been doing for this charity, right?
Yeah, yeah.
The digital marketing point of view for me is you want to target the fat boy keyword left, right, and center,
Mhm.
and just plaster on the internet that you can get fat boy equivalent, basically fat boy, at half the cost or how 40% off or 30% off, right?
Yeah.
That would be the immediate thing that I would do if I was in their shoes.
Mhm.
But obviously, what's the downside of that? We feel like we're watering down other people's brand. We feel like we're, competing with.
Mhm.
I mean, we're attracting people who are shopping around, or we're gonna look like a really cheap brand, and we're not gonna be premium, so on and so.
Mhm.
I get
Yeah.
those sort of those sort of emotional reactions to
Yeah, like
obviously.
especially
Yeah,
for the owner that initiates something like that, if it's not purely to make a quick buck, but to build a business,
yeah,
then yeah.
yeah. So look, it depends on the agenda. If they've just done this 50 bikes just to try and make a quick buck as a
Yeah.
hobby thing, or
Yeah.
try to test the market, so on and so forth.
Mm.
I would 100% go down the route. Um, if this campaign is proven to be successful, that data could possibly tell you that
Mm.
there's a market demand out there who wants fat boy style, fat boy quality, fat boy look
Mm.
uh, at a cheaper price. It's basically, well, it's interesting that I hired a BYD today. It's basically people who want electric cars but
Mm.
don't Tesla, either can't afford a Tesla, or now you're
Yeah.
politically not aligned with the Tesla brand,
Yeah.
uh, but you still want an electric car. So
Mm.
BYD or some of many other brands now these days are the alternative.
Yeah, that reminds me of something my gym instructor mentioned. She said there were some boys on the street on a fat boy, and there was another kid on another electric bike, like that was
Mm.
some V Razor or whatever the brand was. And the kids on the fat boy was like, "Oh, you loser, get a fat boy!" Like it was almost like a cool kid status symbol to have a
Yep,
fat boy.
100%.
And like it kind of upset her, and she was like, "Man, how stupid is this?"
Yeah.
um,
Look, okay, and that's interesting. The other point, this point is actually interesting as well, because I would imagine the target audience would be teenagers and young kids and stuff like that, right? Not
or
young.
either teenagers or parents that are looking for a big gift.
Yeah. So you probably want, okay, so the platforms of choice would probably be your Instagram and your TikTok.
Mm.
Advertising point of view, like if you want to go digital, and you probably need to put some production value behind, or some thought process behind making it look really cool, right?
Yeah.
So because these kids are not out there trying to get value for money, they're trying to
Mm.
look the coolest, right?
Mm.
But the good news that you're going to deliver to them is you're going to be the coolest amongst your gang at half the price, right?
Mm.
Because yeah, so that would probably be appealing to kids who have like a part-time job and just trying to save up for something, uh, or parents who are more conscious in spending,
Yeah.
uh, to want to get something really cool
Yeah.
at a cheap price.
Yeah. Hmm. I do empathize with people that see an opportunity, buy a bunch of stock, and then they kind of just want to see how it goes.
Mm.
But they haven't done a lot of market research, or they don't have a lot of business or sales experience, because they're like, clearly there's an opportunity. Surely I can make a few $1,000s here. Um,
Yeah,
and and I think a lot of people don't have a clear mission or goal, or like, I want this to grow into a $10 million business. They're like, I just want to see how it goes, and it's a bit
yeah.
of an ad hoc approach. I think in that instance, it is similar to that, where they're good business people, and obviously they run a successful gym, etc. But it is like, you have some disposable income, and you want to try to make some extra cash.
Mhm.
What would your decision process be in terms of identifying how much should I spend on marketing? How much should I invest into a campaign? I've got some rough figures, if that helps, in terms of
Yeah,
projected spend.
look, my opinion, and I'll be biased because I'm a marketing person. The ideal scenario for me, before you invest a single dime into product creation or importing, you want to spend money in. You want to spend money to generate market demand, right?
Mm.
You want to understand or investigate whether or not your potential product has legs.
Yeah.
And that's probably the thing that 99% of business people don't do. They go and find or invent some product, and they convince themselves that the market will love it and
Mm.
people are hungry people would just line up to buy this thing once I put it out there.
Yeah.
And then they, they invest time, money, effort into creating this thing, and then it tanks, right? Or they import everything, and then they start thinking about, oh, how am I going to sell this thing, right? So
Yeah.
for me, like, if you've got, I don't know, 3K to drop or 5K to drop or 10K to drop, let's say, okay, I don't know how much these bikes cost them, right?
Yeah.
Let's just pick a figure. I'm looking at the Fat Boy website at the moment, and average bike is about 3.5K.
Mhm.
And I'm just going to assume that the import price for these guys is going to be around $800, right? More or less, right?
Mhm.
So a fourth, because they're going to retail it at half price or something, right? So let's just say the import price for one of these bikes is $800.
Yeah.
So they're ordering $800 times 50. That's
50. Yeah.
$40.
Yeah.
Okay, and I'm being super conservative here, right? $40,000 worth of money that you're going to get these bikes without a plan or any sort of indication on the demand, right? Sounds pretty risky to me. So what I would probably do from the get-go is I'll probably spend 10% of that budget. That's $4,000, and it is
Mm.
in market. Well, it is a substantial amount of money, right? In an advertising campaign, so uh, place a $50 deposit to lock in the price for this upcoming bike.
Mm.
Right? So it's a little bit like a Kickstarter campaign, to be,
Yeah.
but let's just say that the retail price for your new bike is going to be $2,000. Okay,
Yeah.
so the retail price for your new bike is going to be $2,000, right? And then you go for a limited time only. We are going to offer these bikes at $1,500
Mm.
if you raise a deposit of $50 in the next 2 days or something, or now, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
If you've got a substantial wait list and people are actually paying to tell you, hey, I want this thing so badly to a
Mm.
point I don't mind putting it down some money,
Yeah.
right? Then you've got a really compelling case to go into the import business,
Mm.
right? And
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
would actually know how many you should import as well. It may not be 50; it could be 500.
Yeah.
If people already pay a deposit, right?
Yeah.
This is basically stealing a page from the early Tesla days, right?
Mm.
When Tesla first came out, they basically deployed the exact same tactic, and that gave them committed orders,
Yeah.
pre-orders,
Yeah.
and confidence to go and mass produce, right? So that's what I would do.
Mm. And so if you can, obviously you need to sell in that campaign that your bike is worth waiting for.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
And I think
you still
Tesla obviously did that really well.
absolutely. So you still need to do the foundational work of selling the bike and articulating the benefits and
Yeah.
all that sort of stuff, all the eye candy and everything. But I wouldn't go and spend a single dime in importing, getting stock
Yeah.
before I actually get some pre-sale commitments.
Yeah. Yeah. Mm. Okay, well, that sounds like a great idea. But what if it's too late, and you have, you've got 50 bikes arriving, and you're storing them in somebody's warehouse,
Yeah,
and now you've got, let's say 40K worth of inventory that you need to move,
yeah.
and there might be 100K of revenue in there.
So why don't you pull out your little wireframe tool, whatever thing that you're using? I've just been working the AI a little bit to try and fast track this process. But maybe we'll pretend that we're creating a landing page
Yeah.
to sell this thing, and then see what we come up with.
Okay, let me share the screen. Screen share. So cool. All right. We will call this speed. Let's just call it Cool Bike for cool kids. Okay. Now we will. Let me just create a quick prompt. Prompt Realm sitemap. Cool, what do you call it? Coolbike.com.au. So I'm just creating a prompt for the wireframe. I need help with writing a prompt for the company is a e-commerce.
Can you actually? I'm doing some copywriting work with right now. Can you just pull out the wireframe?
Yeah.
And
Okay.
I'll explain the thought process.
A trendy e-bike company called Cool Bike e-commerce store. Okay, let's just generate the homepage. And I will go in here.
Yeah, so just go to the headline. Now, because we're trying to appeal to late teenagers or young adults, right?
Yep.
So we need to find a descriptive word. So just put retro, the word for now. So retro e-bike, retro e-bikes, build for the bold,
build for the bold.
Full stop. Starting from X amount. Let's say starting from $1,200. Okay. So now I'm not doing a really good job right now in terms of making the language sound really cool or appealing to the 18-year-old, right?
Yeah.
And this is where we obviously we don't do it now, but whoever's writing the copy, you need to do some work. Look at your fat boy websites. Go to AI and go, hey, how can I make this sound really cool and all that sort of stuff, right? But
Yeah.
In this case, the imagery is going to be really, really important. So make sure the landing page has plenty of your product images, because these kids, once they look at the image, they can already connect the dots of, okay, so this looks exactly like Fat Boy, but I'm getting this at $1,200, right?
Yeah. So I'm just generating an image.
Yeah. Okay. And then in the small text, again, it depends on how far you want to go or how bold you are as business people.
Yeah.
In the small text, I would, for the sake of clarity and appeal, I would say something along the lines of, these products come from the same, same design, same factory, or Fat Boy equivalent. So you can go, okay, Fat Boy equivalent design performance at half, and performance at half the price. And then you may also want to do, again, I don't know what the setup is, but you can go buy now, pay later available.
Yeah.
Yeah. This is what teenagers want. Right? So
yeah, the blessing without the commitment.
Yep. So get rid of all the other top long text. Go back to your thing. So So retro e-bike built for the bold, right? A little bit of aspiration, starting from 1,200. We'd be being extremely clear about the value there, and then Fat Boy equivalent is performance at half the price. All right. Now this is not sexy language at all. We're just trying to sell products, right?
Yeah, and be clear. Yeah.
To a very specific group of people who are looking for the looks, the performance, and at a bargain, basically.
Yeah.
Right.
And then you could, in the problem section, you could then say, most e-bikes sell retail for 3 to 4K. We believe that's wrong. You should have access to.
Yeah. Just go. Yeah. Like you shouldn't. Yeah. Like you shouldn't you shouldn't have to pay up to $4,000.
To be part of the cool
Up to,
kids.
yeah, to be I don't know, like, again, you need to find the right words for
Yeah.
this specific crowd, right? To be considered whatever, or hit the road, like, or hit the street with style. Okay, you shouldn't have to pay up to 4K to hit the road with style. There you go.
I like that.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then we get
And
to
then
some
the
product.
rest is just going to be bells and whistles, right?
Yeah.
The looks, the style, the performance, and all that sort of stuff. And then the selection, all that stuff. It's just a classic e-commerce
Yeah.
proposition. But if we nail the headline and then we sort of nail that emotional drive of, you don't have to spend 4K,
Yeah.
I think we're winning half the battle.
Mm. Okay, and then have a landing page where they can either have a deposit or a small amount.
Again, like, if you don't want, because it takes a lot for someone brand new to get into digital advertising. You got to have a social platform, all that sort of stuff, right?
Yeah.
Even if you just print this dang thing out as a letterbox drop and just go around the suburb and drop it,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Or go to schools, go to schools and find a way to give this into the hands of the kids.
Yeah.
Or do a little bit of a referral thing. You can the
You can get
offline
creative, yeah.
the offline world has so much opportunity. Even if you just go to 10 kids and go, I'm going to pay you $50 to give this flyer to all of your friends or stuff like that,
Yeah.
right? Then all of a sudden you've got 500 flyers and 10 sales agents in the works
Yeah.
for you. So
Yeah, and you could even make it something where they are not available online. They're only available through like a referral network.
exactly, yeah, exactly. You can only get this bike through Little Johnny,
Yeah.
right? And you get exclusive, and you can cut a little deal, right? You want to go and find a
But your
kid
area agent.
yeah, you want to go and find kids who are entrepreneurial and want to make money out of the friends,
Yeah.
which is story of my life when in my school days. Yeah. Look, I don't know who's watching this, and obviously I don't know your gym instructor. They could be totally opposite of everything that we've talked about. But if I had this opportunity, this is how I
Yeah.
would approach the business.
Yeah.
Not for the sake of only moving 50 bikes, because I want to make it a 500 bike proposition.
Yeah. I like the idea with the whole wait list of pre deposit and all that stuff. But that obviously requires a bit of strategy and some thought behind it long term. And also the ability to say no if something doesn't make sense and not just marry your idea before the idea is good.
Yes, absolutely. Well, I had fun doing this little exercise. Yeah, well, that was really good. Now, I think we're running out of time, but just so that we can keep banging on that drum, our upcoming StoryBrand workshop is in a month's
And
time.
end of July. So just under 2 months.
Yes. So end of July is our next StoryBrand workshop in Melbourne. It has already been a proven workshop where people walk away with tremendous value, a clear messaging for their business, and also a complete marketing plan which they can execute within 90 days.
Yeah. And just something that I became aware of again yesterday is that if you spend 2 days with a bunch of people that, just occupy their minds with marketing stuff all day, you have so much opportunity to, talk through your ideas, to get some feedback, to just spend time in the room. Yes, the content is amazing and you will learn so much and your brain will be, full of ideas, but just the ability and the time to talk to each other is super, super valuable.
Yeah, because the thing is, if you've been in business, for more than 2 years, a lot of these marketing concepts you would already know, right? There's no shortage of YouTube and podcasts and books that you can
Yeah.
read, right? But the value really is the dedicated headspace right? 2 full days to work on nothing but your marketing, and also the live feedback and the live guidance from me, Ori, and Paul, our other facilitator. We take no more than 15 people, and there's 3 of us in the room giving you live feedback. And so it's a 1-to-5 ratio. And nothing like the value really is in the live feedback. Otherwise, next thing you know, you'll be pointing your finger in the sky and think of the next brilliant marketing idea, and and you're all confused and are not confident about executing it because you don't know whether or not it's going to work.
Yeah.
So,
Especially with AI, ideas themselves are not that much worth anymore. So it's time to execute.
absolutely.
Get to work.
Cool. Well,
All
it
right.
was a fun call.
Yep.
Yeah. Feel free to send this back to your gym instructor. I would love to talk offline because probably just a few adjustments. I think we've got legs to this, so
Yeah.
it's going to be really good.
Yeah. That's cool. I'm sure there are a few $1,000 in for them to get their money back.
Awesome. All right.
right.
Well, we'll see you next week, same time, same place.
Sounds good. See you then, guys.
Yeah.